Welcome back into the QB Huddle Podcast. I'm Tim Smith, and I'm joined, of course, by my podcast partner, Brandon Newey.
What's going on, baby?
Man, we finally had the first week of real NFL football. It counted this weekend, and we had some great college games this weekend that Brandon and I are going to talk about a little bit. We're going to start to introduce you to some of these college quarterbacks throughout the year that are on the watch list. Before we get started too far, Brandon, you're playing a little hurt today, man. You had a loss this weekend, and we're all family here on the QB Huddle podcast, man. You talk about your loss this weekend, man. I'm really sorry for you. It's one of the hardest things.
Yeah, that is one of the hardest things. I never lost a dog before. You know, as a kid, we had dogs, but they would leave like 6 months to a year, and mom say, "Hey, they ran away."
Yeah,
but man, this one hurts. You know, just losing a part of your family. You know, has been around around me for 11 years with my wife. 16 and a half, and it's just she's traveled with my wife to San Francisco and coming back to Texas, and us getting married, and then dealing with Nico, the addition of Nico, and man, she's been a trooper, and then Roman. And so, yeah, that was a tough one, man. I didn't think that you could get that emotional over a dog. Wow. I underestimated that greatly. I mean, it comes in waves, man. You know how it is. I ain't going to get emotional on this one, but it's just good to experience that. I think everybody needs to experience, loving a dog or cat, whatever pet, I got the first chance to experience it. It was great. And we still got 2 other dogs, but man, that was tough. That was the only girl. And, I know she's going to be in doggy heaven eating all the treats. So, bossing people around. So.
R.I.P. to Chloe. You also had
Chloe, man.
A big moment, since our last show. You had an anniversary, or a birthday rather. It was my anniversary. So, folks, my wife and I had our 15th anniversary on September the 5th, and that also shares a birthday with Roman Brandon.
Little baby Roman. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, he turned 4. We went to Legoland, which that is really cool, by the way. I know my brother Tay will probably love that because he loves to build Legos. He's a Lego enthusiast. But man, that was good, man. Got to be around good people and, just celebrate Roman. And, he had to do, he had a birthday in his class, and that was cool. So, next week we're going to New York City to see my sister. And, take him through Central Park, the zoo, saw all that cool stuff. So
yeah,
the birthday continues for that guy. So
he's a lucky kid. He's a lucky kid,
right? I was like, damn, I ain't traveled like that.
So let's get into it, man. We let's start up in Ann Arbor because the Michigan Wolverines, of course, they lost their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, this year to the NFL draft to the Minnesota Vikings. But the national champion Michigan Wolverines took on Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorns. Now, these two are my favorite college teams for sure since I'm young. I've only seen them play each other once, and it wasn't even a game. I tell you what, I'm excited to see Quinn Ewers in the NFL. I think my eyes are telling me that he's the best quarterback in the country right now. What say you, Mr. Brandon Newey?
Ooh, best quarterback in the country. I mean, he was a 5-star quarterback coming out of South Lake Carroll. He has that ability to make plays off platform. Now, I would say he does it too much sometimes, but to see his development, I mean, with Sarkisian and knowing that Arch Manning is right on his heels and they're trying to make each other better, it looks like they have a really good QB room and they're pushing each other to greatness. And Quinn has talent, man. He always has had talent. I think the thing that I used to always question is his ability to navigate through reads and his footwork. So it looks like that is polished up. He looks like a general out there, similar to what Tua was doing when he was under Shark at Alabama. Just quick decisions.
Yeah.
He's a master of the RPO. I love what he's doing. And that was a huge win, despite not having the same Michigan team, right? I think a couple of players were out, and then you had, the 2-quarterback system. And so I think they thrived in that. They showed that they can
Michigan
Play
doesn't
a
have a
big home game
quarterback.
away, huh?
Michigan doesn't have a quarterback this year.
Not at
Davis
all.
Warren is no good. Orgy's no good. Orgy's a runner. We can't even run the ball. Our offensive line is subpar to what we're used to. We lost a lot of seniors, and I say we.
Mm.
I'm a big Michigan fan. Everybody knows, but lost a lot of seniors to the draft. 13 to be exact. It's hard to lose 13 starters and have your team be so senior heavy. A lot of guys came back to make that run to a national title after losing to TCU the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So Michigan's going to struggle, man. Michigan is not the team that they are, which sets up good for you because USC is now in the Big Ten and is coming to Ann Arbor, coming to
Yes,
the Big House this
sir.
Saturday. And
Oh,
I don't think it's going to be a good outcome for Michigan, although it is, you pointed out, an 8 a.m. game, all things taken into consideration for the USC players.
yeah. I think the travel is going to really affect them this season. They're not used to playing early morning games. Most of the time, they're a night game or they're a 3 o'clock game. So that's going to be a drastic change. Traveling across the country is going to be a drastic change. Dealing with that climate is going to be a different change, right? Your 8 a.m. game time and you're walking into 100,000 people screaming at you.
110.
And so 110, excuse me. I think there's a lot of positive with Lincoln Riley's team. Number one, I feel like he's found a defense that knows how to tackle. We finally pitched a shutout. I believe it was against Utah State this past weekend. Offense is looking good. They got a good run game. I like what I see from Miller Moss. All right, this is one of those guys who, California born and bred. He grew up to become a Trojan, right? And now he's in the driver's seat. It's a unique story. He stayed instead of leave, unlike some of these guys when things don't go their way now, especially you got the transfer portal. But he's taking advantage of his opportunities. Now, hopefully he can take that with him to the big house because that's another big game. And that's going to be a hostile environment. And they're coming off a loss. So, of course, they want to keep their coach. I know that coach hasn't signed an extension yet. So they're going to be desperate to try to get this guy a win. And I just want to see how we handle that. But it should be a really good game. I'm not expecting a blowout. Hell, I'm not even expecting a win. But
I think you should.
we're going to see. We're going to see, man. It's Lincoln Riley's teams are different, and this is something I know just watching him at OU. Those big games that are away, he doesn't do very well.
Well, it's funny to see a team like USC in the Big Ten. Forever, the Big Ten has been a conference that's been predominantly in the Midwest with smash mouth power football, big on both lines of the scrimmage, great on defense, overpower you offensively. And now here comes the speed of a USC team to come in here. And I think Michigan will struggle with that. I don't think they're strong enough up front this year. I think that, some of the other teams would give USC more of a welcome to the Big Ten, like Ohio State. Bless you. But sadly, I don't think Michigan's up to the task this year or this week. I would love to see us beat USC, but I don't see it happening. Let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to college football, man. And I don't know where you're going to land on this. Folks, we haven't talked much about this off camera, but Colorado Buffaloes, the Deion Sanders experience, and Shedeur Sanders. Man, I'm just going to go out there and say I'm kind of over the Deion Sanders experience. As much as I love Deion Sanders, the player, I love primetime. Who doesn't? I loved his confidence coming in. I thought he would build something here in Colorado, but he let half the team walk. He's got the most transfers of anybody in the country. He does seem to. He's a great motivator, right? But he seems to just be trying to motivate. He's kicking press people out of the room. CBS isn't allowed to talk to his team because, he didn't like what they had to say. Hey, it's going to be harsh criticism, especially when you are out there the way that you are. And it seems to be backfiring a little bit. Shedeur Sanders seems just completely unprepared in these games. I don't feel like he's looked good in either game, particularly, and to lose like that to Nebraska, where he looked extremely overwhelmed. The offensive line's not very good, I'll give you that. But Shedeur doesn't look like the Shedeur from a year ago or 2 years ago. In my opinion, I feel like he's digressed with all the stuff going around. And maybe Coach JB is right. Maybe you're doing too much, man. I mean, Nebraska was celebrating to your rap song in their locker room. So congratulations, you got the big NIL deal and you're all this and all that, but your draft stock is falling. And Shador, you can't walk off the field with 2 minutes left without an injury. You don't like what's going on. You got your dad out there blaming the offensive line on the bench, and you're walking off the field, man. It's a bad look, Brandon, for me, and I'm kind of getting out on the whole experience. Where are you at?
Man, I wouldn't say I'm over it, but I will say, because I'm always support Prime and Coach Prime. I was a big Deion Sanders fan growing up. Had the shoes. We all had the fresh gear, wanting to play like Deion. Couldn't run like Deion, but from a coach's standpoint, and granted, I'm just a trainer. I've never built a program. I've had opportunities to work with some pretty good players and help their development, as you have. But I just feel like he's just truly a motivator, and I don't know if he's an X and O guy. I just don't know, because when it comes to inheriting a program and your first speech is, "I'm coming and I'm bringing my luggage," and it's Louis. Okay.
Sets the tone.
That's sets the tone immediately. Now, letting go some of those guys that, granted, they had a bad program, he coming in, you expect that he would be able to help as far as building them up, not just putting them down or putting his son and Travis and, Shiloh above. I mean, it kind of puts, they're really broadcasted out there, and it's not the entire team. And one thing about especially team ball and championship ball, it's not coach-led, it's player-led. And I don't see any leaders in that locker room whatsoever. It really concerned me when they started to bring celebrities into the locker room. They started to bring rappers for post-game, post-game locker room stuff. Like, man, we just won, and bringing these guys. Like, it just sets a bad tone, man. A locker room is sacred. A locker room, what goes in the locker room, it stays in the locker room. It doesn't come out. I was very concerned with Shador's performance. Yes, you can blame the O-line all you want, but having the ability to make change protections, that's something you can control. Getting the ball out on time instead of just patting the ball and waiting for a big play to happen, instead of just throw the ball away, right?
Right.
I understand you're trying to – I don't know if he's trying to pad his stats. I've never seen a quarterback that does that, to where at his level, to where he just doesn't throw the ball away. I'm just like, man, you're killing yourself. You're taking unnecessary hits, and then you have the nerve to go out and say how many times the Nebraska quarterback got hit. Like, dude, you can't do that. You can't call these guys out. Offensive linemen are some of the most selfless people you will ever encounter on a football field, right? Yeah. They don't get a lot of pub. They work their tails off, right? They have to lift heavy weights. They have to push heavy people, right? They do all the dirty work and don't really get praise. If anything, it's your job as a leader to galvanize these guys and expect greatness. Like, I feel like they have no leaders. And you see the kid, Travis Hunter, that has just a lot of passion, a lot of dog in him. He needs to realize he's the leader, right? He needs to realize it instead of just saying a dog, right? I think he needs to take that role. That team needs to take his attitude, because all that kid does is play football, eat, sleep, and drink it, plays video games, goes fishing, stays out the way. He's not really broadcasted, trying to do all the fancy stuff in the rap videos, showing off $100,000 chain or a Rolex. Like, if you want to be great, you have to do uncommon things. You're doing what common people do.
I love Travis Hunter. I love the kid. I don't think Shador's about football. I just get the sense he's not about it. He's about the money. He's about the fame, man, but he's not about the work. He's not about the, and we're not there. Can't say what, but he looks unprepared come game day, man.
I just think,
Travis Hunter downfield. He's looking for the big play.
Yeah, he's holding on to the ball too long.
He's looking to secure that number 1 draft pick spot, and
it's not going to happen with that.
I think Quinn Ewers is going to get that spot.
Yeah,
and Carson Beck could be next, could be number 2, and Shador might go down to 3, or gosh, we might see who else steps up during the year. But Colorado's got to get it figured out.
They are not coached very well, and it's time to really put that out there. And I think a lot of people are seeing that. I got scolded when I said that in a group text, but it's the reality of it. It doesn't matter. Like here's the thing: you are a Division I football player. Period. Your athleticism and something got you there, right? Now it's about learning from the neck up. You have to have technique. All these teams that we've seen, just like Northern Illinois University just beat Notre Dame, what did that come down to? It damn sure wasn't talent. It was technique. It was technique, heart, and taking advantage of your opportunities.
Well,
I've yet to see that with Colorado in any situation, ever.
I feel like I learned everything I needed to learn from
It's pretty sad, man.
When he's walking off the field with 2 minutes left. I don't like it.
No, you don't do that.
If his daddy wasn't the head coach, he wouldn't have done it. Let's just do this.
I just don't like it, man. I don't like the body language. I don't like.
No.
He's not a leader to me. I don't feel like he is. Because if he was, like, here's my thing. When you're down in a game, I need somebody to stand up from a player's perspective and go in on us. Like, let's go. Pick it up. Like, what are we doing? We saw none of that.
No.
None of it. And then you allow this 19-year-old freshman who's his second college start ever look much better than you.
Hey, he does look like a baby Mahomes. He does look like a baby Mahomes.
I'm not saying he's better than Shador, but Shador, wherever he goes as a number 1 draft pick, is going to have a not good or not so good offensive line. And you're still going to have the ability to get rid of the ball on time.
Yeah.
Right? Throw the ball away. It's okay. You can't take sacks, man. Not in those situations. And then you stare down on the goal line on a hitch route, and they're just playing cloud there. There's no deep threat, so the corner's not going to sink. And you misplace the ball instead of throwing it high and outside. You have got to realize when you're on the goal line, quick decisions have got to happen. Right? Either you take that number 1 or you're working underneath immediately. Right? That's common stuff. But granted, hey, he doesn't throw a lot of picks. I would just love to see him turn a corner. And I'm not out on him yet. I thought I was out on him, but I did like how the defense damn near had a shutout the entire half. So it's up to Shador and that crew to lead them. Has he showed he has ice in his veins? Yes, he has. But when things go bad, they're bad.
You got to face adversity.
Right? How good is your bad?
Yeah.
And his bad is bad.
I want him to do well. We're big.
Absolutely.
Don't get this.
Don't get this twisted. I'm just being a realist.
We're going to take some heat because, you can't say anything negative.
I don't give a damn. I'm keeping it honest.
without it, you're just a bad guy and you hate him and you want him to lose. No, we don't want Colorado to lose at all. In fact, I played that game about 6 times on college football over the weekend, and I beat the tar out of Nebraska.
They just got to have they got to learn. It's technique. You don't have to be the biggest, strongest, fastest, man. Jason Kelsey was a walk-on from Cincinnati and turned out to be the best offensive lineman, center of his era. Why is that? It damn sure wasn't because of his size.
Hey, not big.
He had heart and he had technique. It's technique. If you don't have technique, you're going to get ate alive. There's so many times they were, out of position. Damn near every time. And I'm just like, dude, that's just alignment. What happens with these teams that you see and we're going off the script, but South Lake Carroll and some of these teams that don't have the most talent, but what are they? They're disciplined. You can teach discipline.
Yep. All day. Yep. The team that I call for, Marcus, they're coached by Coach Mike Alexander, and it's he comes from discipline. He coached Grapevine, discipline. Lots of discipline and really good at halftime adjustments and all those types of things that you need. So, and technique, they teach discipline, technique, and everything comes from there. So, they have a really good quarterback too, by the way. Colton Nussmeier threw for 5 touchdowns against the Arlington Coats this weekend in high school. Your quarterback, talk about it, man, because you had a big moment on Friday night here at Texas high school football.
Man, I've had the opportunity of working with this kid since he was 8 years old. And yes, he's had some other, people that he works with, but we've always stayed in good contact with his dad and his family. Chris Jimerson lit it up, man. He's got ice in his veins. He's another undersized quarterback committed to North Texas. really proud of him, man. He always stays engaged, though we can't train all the time because he does stay in North Crowley, so it's really hard. But we've always kept in contact and just train when we can and watch film. But that kid beat the number one team in the state last night, and not saying just him, right? But I'm saying his team. Yeah,
Sure.
4 touchdowns. DeSoto. DeSoto, if you guys know who DeSoto, yeah, 4th ranked team in the country. They won the Texas State title last year. It was in their home. That was one of the greatest high school games I've had the pleasure of watching.
Yeah,
I mean, it was back and forth, back
Yeah.
and forth. What is it, 57-51? There was another shout out to Cornell McGee, got a big win, had a Brady moment, probably the only Brady moment that we have in this podcast right now. 7 seconds left, and he delivers the mail for a touchdown. It was great to see. Got that first win on the road. And then we have the young buck, Zach Wells, out of Birdsville. I've worked with him since he was, young, and all 3 of these guys I'm mentioning since they were kids, and they're really taking advantage of their moments. He had an awesome day against the team you used to call for, Grapevine. A respectable program. It was going back and forth. This kid put up 42 points, 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards of total offense in his very first game in high school.
Grapevine's
that's incredible.
Coach, they typically have a good defense, so to go and do that on the road, that's awesome, man. So
kudos to those guys.
Let's transition. We've got a lot to go through in the NFL this week. First and foremost, let's get your take on this. Dak Prescott, who had an underwhelming 31 QBR yesterday, is now the highest paid quarterback in all of the land, highest paid player in the NFL, $60 million over 4 years. Your thoughts?
He deserves it. The way the market is set up, Deshaun Watson set it up for them all. As you know, I've always said I'm not a big believer in being the highest paid guy on your team, especially when you're going to deplete your entire team in 2 years. But one thing I love about Dak is he's a great leader. He's good for the community. He's good for that team and that organization. He represents them very well. He deserved it. And we all know what Dak has to do. We all know. But just like many quarterbacks that got paid the bag, they have to do the same thing. And that's advance to your championship conference game. If you can do that and you can get over that hump, I don't think a Super Bowl is necessarily needed, but just to know that you can get, that's where you're supposed to be every year. If you could get there and eventually you get over the hump. But man, $60 million a year, $231 million guaranteed, and $80 million sign-on bonus. Get paid, young brother, get paid. Bro. And you can't stand this right now, so I'm going to just let you have it. You know me as a 49er fan, I love it. Yeah,
keep them. Exactly. The rest of the NFL was probably saying the same thing. Listen, I woke up yesterday in the best mood. Woke up, put my jersey on, right? I put my Walter Payton jersey on because the Bears played first. The Cowboys had the late game, but I couldn't have been more excited. NFL Sunday, I made pancakes on the griddle, bacon. We had the whole thing, watching pregame. And then the news comes out, which, by the way, I had insider information on Friday evening. My broadcast partner for the Marcus games, Jacob Dedamore, who has his own college football show on The Score on Saturday mornings, this guy told me that they were on Dak contract watch. He knew from the inside that something was going to happen before Sunday morning, so I kind of knew it was coming. I was hoping he would be wrong. He wasn't wrong. The news came across. Ruined my day, man. Ruined my day. My entire flow. I was in a bad mood for like an hour. Why was I in a bad mood? Well, I mean, the guy came out and, like I said, he had a 31 QBR yesterday. He threw for 170 something yards. We'll talk about it later. He had 1 touchdown. Very underwhelming for a $60 million quarterback. As a matter of fact, we had 2 of the highest paid quarterbacks going at it yesterday. You would have thought we would have had a quarterback clinic. We did not. We had anything but a clinic to me. I just feel that at this point, I'm no longer excited about regular season wins. I mean, for all I care, we can go undefeated. I'm not going to get excited until we play in a playoff game. Dak looks good, and we win the game. Hell, we can lose the game, 29-28, but Dak looks good. He plays competently. That's what I want. Haven't seen it. Don't understand how a guy that looks so incompetent in the playoffs can be the highest paid player in the league, but you said it. It's the market. Brock Purdy, I guess, is going to get $70 million. I mean,
No, he's not.
He's been to the Super Bowl, so
Brock's smarter than
two
that.
NFC Championship games. I'll say this: Dak has the best agent in all of the NFL. That period. I don't know who it is. Don't care who it is. But he's got the best agent ever.
He deserves it, man. Who other quarterback are
I
you
don't
going to
feel like he
take?
doesn't deserve it. He already got paid the bag. We already paid him the bag and the
But
long-term contract.
all these other guys.
What has he done? What has he done?
He's actually won double-digit games, double-digit regular season games. He's led the league in passing.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Playoffs.
What does any of those guys have done in the playoffs? Not name Mahomes
Listen, I don't care about
or
the other
Purdy.
guys. I don't care about the other guys. I'm a Cowboy fan. There's a lot of quarterbacks that have gotten overpaid. Jordan Love got overpaid. Now he's out for 3 to 6 weeks.
Oh,
Look, Jordan Love got overpaid, period.
tore y'all up. Didn't look overpaid then.
Don't feel bad that he's out because he's the Packers and the Packers.
Oh man, that was one of my fantasy quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's okay. I got Kyler on the bench. He's got to do work.
So he's gone. I mean, Kirk Cousins got too much money more than once. It makes me sick that this is where we are. They say, now here's the good news. They say it's a cap friendly deal, the way it's been structured. So we should be able to sign Micah and have talent around Dak as he's had his entire career. What I need to see is a better Dak in the crunch time and in the biggest games. That's what I need. I need to see, this is going to sound crazy. I need to see Dak play like Baker Mayfield. That's what I need to see. Baker Mayfield, 4 touchdowns yesterday. Went completely nuts yesterday against the Washington Commanders, who people were trying to convince us would win that division. It wasn't even a match, to be honest with you. Baker looked far and away one of the best quarterbacks yesterday. Hey, play like Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a 90 QBR yesterday, had 4 total touchdowns, easily took over the game in the fourth quarter and was the reason the Bills won. That's what I need from Dak Prescott moving forward from now until the time he retires.
So
he's the highest paid quarterback in the world. Let's go.
Wow. So
I'm fired up about this.
So you want him to throw for 1 million yards and tons of touchdowns instead of being smart and having a balance?
No, we can listen. Here's the good thing about
that's what it was yesterday. It was a balance. He didn't have to do too much.
As a whole, Zeke Elliott's back.
It looks good.
We still didn't look great in the red zone. We settled for way too many field goals.
Sure.
But Zeke Elliott's back, and he looked good. I thought the run game was still a little underwhelming, to be honest with you. We could still run the ball better. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see how it progresses throughout the year. Our O-line, we've got a center that's never played center before. He was practicing by snapping to his mom in the offseason. Well, we got problems up front. So it's not going to be perfect. But I do want to see, and I don't even care what happens in the regular season at this point, unless we don't make the playoffs, which I predicted.
Yeah, you do.
I want them to win a playoff game. I need Dak Prescott to play in an NFC title game to substantiate this $60 million a year. That's what I need.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. All right, let's get into it, man. That's enough of Dak getting paid. It's the second time we've had to talk about this. At least there won't be a third. Go ahead.
Before we dive into this,
what do you want to talk about?
Our boy, TB12, man. His first game in the booth. How do you think it went?
I thought he was excellent. I'm going to give him a B.
Because you do this. You actually do this.
As a color guy myself, I like this cadence. I think a lot of us are going to using, and I say us because I do it too, using the cadence that kind of sounds like Greg Olsen, right? He had a little bit of Greg Olsen cadence. I felt a little Tony Romo coming out of him. I felt a little Chris Collinsworth. I feel like he's definitely done his homework. He was a little off on his timing every now and then, and he had a couple times when he didn't finish his thought. He would kind of get caught up in what he was saying, and it happens, folks. When you're in that booth, sometimes you just black out and you just start talking because it's easy, right? You just talk about football and you do it your whole life. I think that he's only going to get better. I thought, he didn't talk about himself a lot, which I love. I know more people want to hear him kind of talk about more his experiences and what, but that's not what we want to hear, right? We know he was great. I hate when the commentators just brag on themselves for, 3 hours. So I like that he kept himself out of it. I think the timing will be better, and I think he's going to be great. I really enjoyed the broadcast. How about you?
I think so too. His cadence, going through some of those plays needs to be a little bit quicker, but he'll get that over time. It's just more. He just needs more reps, just like anybody doing a profession. I think he's going to take the same zeal and fire that he did, playing football to this position. He is restricted a little bit compared to a lot of these other broadcasters because he is a part owner with the Raiders. And so that entire situation doesn't allow him to engage with players the way he would want to. But I personally think he did a good job. I think he's got a good teammate to help tee it up. I think people are really frustrated with the whole Greg Olsen situation because Greg Olsen is phenomenal at what he does.
For Greg Olsen.
He is phenomenal at what he does. And I personally think he is the best commentator.
Oh.
Period. Yeah, it's period. It fits like a glove, man. I mean, Romo had to go through some of his stuff, and of course Brady has to go through his, but Olsen's a very charismatic person. When you're a quarterback, you can't be as charismatic as you want. So I think Brady needs to find his personality. I think Brady needs to find Tampa Tom instead of Patriot Tom.
Oh, yeah.
I think when he gets excited and talking and that Tom Brady is the one we all fell in love with. Not the super. Tom. Yeah, we need Goofy Tom. He needs to be Goofy Tom.
I'd like to hear more possibly, and this is just me, and maybe the general public doesn't care. I want to know more about the mindset of that quarterback on a big play. What's he looking at the defense? Is he changing stuff? And if they're not doing it, I want Tom to call them out. I want Tom to call them out for being simple at the line of scrimmage if they are, because he wasn't. But I don't know that they asked him yesterday about Dak Prescott before the game, and honestly, you got the feeling that he was holding back. He couldn't say what he really wanted to say, how he really felt. So he's coming up with adjectives to make it sound like he was a big Dak Prescott fan. But if you read between the lines, I don't think so.
Well, he's calling a lot of Cowboy games this year, apparently.
Yeah, he's calling them again next week.
Yeah, he's calling them again next week. I felt he did a really good job of calling out when Dak changed the protection. It was 0, and you had a 3-by-1 set, and they took the dragon, what we used to call dragon, with the Y corner, and he anticipated it and made a great decision and checked at the line of scrimmage. I thought that was very good.
Yes.
But I thought when he was going through it, it's speed it up. Tell me how quick you can respond in this situation. Okay, man, they're in 0 coverage. Okay, change the protection, Max. Hey, move this guy over here. Here we go. Go. We needed the way you process information on the field. I think that, and maybe common fan doesn't want that, but a nerd like us, we're going to want that because I was like, ooh, here's a 0. Here's a hanger right here. Hey, change that protection, slide this way, move your back over, go. I love things like that. And I feel like, as we go into this week, we saw a lot of shitty quarterback play.
We really did.
It was bad. Well, it was to me. It was just because no preseason. No preseason kills it.
We saw some really tough offense, but we know that early in the season, offense is behind the defense typically. We saw some quarterbacks that played okay, like Patrick Mahomes. He was okay. He won the game, right? He did what we expect him to do. Geno Smith, he was decent yesterday. He was above average. C.J. Stroud, he had a decent game. He showed that he's not just that last year wasn't a mirage. Kyler Murray put together a really good performance, just came up a little short. But Joe Burrow didn't play well.
Oh, we're going to get into the bad.
Justin Fields didn't play, well, although he did win the game. God, who really didn't play well? Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, Bryce Young. There's a bunch of them. You're right.
We're going to dive into them.
Daniel Jones that did not play well. But let's go from Thursday on. Ravens versus Chiefs. What did you think of that game as a whole?
What I thought of as a whole, first off, NFL is back, man. Thank goodness, right? Because especially being out of golf, it sucks to not have an outlet, and great it's back. I thought it was a good game. I thought it was sloppy, but good. And, unfortunately, Lamar is 1-5 or 1-6 versus Mahomes. The next step for him is to get over that hurdle. You have to play a perfect game to beat the Chiefs, and you have to keep Mahomes off the field because Mahomes has just reloaded, and they are faster than they've ever been. And it's scary.
Yeah.
And they're only going to get better with time. The fact that Travis Kelce only had 2 catches and they still won is, man, I just looked at that game, and I know I got shredded for this last episode with Pat Mahomes wanting him to hit a wall. Guys, he is extremely good at what he does. And now he is not always trying to be super Mahomes, and he's just going to take what they give you, and he's going to move around and make different decisions that affect the game in a positive way. He's going to start to bore you a little bit, but you'll see flashes. But that is the next evolution of Patrick Mahomes, man. And it's really cool to see him just sometimes just harness that a little bit. Like, I don't have to do too much. I'm going to make you pay with this 2-yard throw, and he's going to get 6, and we're going to convert. We're going to keep Lamar off the field. Like, he's starting to get in that mode, and that makes him even scarier, especially with the speed, the additions of Xavier Worthy. And, man, they just got weapons, man. And they're the youngest defense out there, too. And they're all tall, they're fast. I'm like, gosh. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, man. That was a good opening game for them. And they didn't have to do too much.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun game. I thought both defenses played pretty decent. Chris Jones was unbelievable the entire night. He controlled that line of scrimmage.
Sure.
Lamar was electric with his legs. My problem with what Lamar did, he ran the ball 16 times.
That's too much.
The rest of the team ran it 14. That's not sustainable. You can't run more than your running backs. Derrick Henry disappeared for 2 quarters in that game. And then when it comes down to it, you need to make a couple throws. You miss those throws.
Like 3 of them.
For me, Lamar is still in that box of, I'm an incredible athlete. He's lost a lot of weight. He's running. He looks even faster than a year ago. They said he lost like 20 pounds. I will say this: he took some hits that maybe he shouldn't take.
He gave those hits. He didn't take them.
I don't want to see Lamar lowering his
He
shoulder.
didn't really take shots, man. He always gives them.
He looked like college Lamar until it was time to throw the ball. He did not look very proficient throwing the ball. He missed a lot of throws. He missed guys that were open. He was throwing into coverage. I think it was a little bit, for me, it felt like trying to make up for the AFC title game and use his legs more, because he really got beat up for not doing that. He played with the type of vigor that, that game was going to get him to the Super Bowl. And I can appreciate it. Right. I love the competitiveness. I need him to harness some of that for the next 17 weeks, or he's not going to.
Yes. I think right now. Go ahead.
No, that's my only concern. I thought the Chiefs looked like the Chiefs. They are faster than a year ago. I think
scary.
They're going to use Worthy in ways that are just going to blow your mind, because really and truthfully, there's no better offensive play caller or play designer than Andy Reid out there, in my opinion, right now. And the Chiefs are, Mahomes is Mahomes, man. They're on a collision course with three-peat, in my opinion.
They're on a collision course with us, but I honestly don't know if we could beat them. I don't.
It was good.
We'll dive into that more in the season, but
yeah, we will.
I don't see it, man. You have got to play the perfect game to beat them. You have to. You have to.
You can't blink.
You have got to keep him off the field. Period. You've got to sustain drives. If you can sustain drives, hit him where it hurts, take advantage of maybe a couple of punts, though, because they'll give it to you.
You got to score in the red zone.
Yeah, but you've got to continue to have points. Yeah. And if you don't have points, he's going to make you pay. Every time.
They scored in 4 plays on their first.
Can't do it. It's like, man, this is how it is, man. It's watching the Golden State Warriors. Remember that phase where Steph Curry, we didn't know, we're just like, God, he's really good. He's so good. Like, how is he making all these shots? And then all of his team is starting to get really good. It's like, how did Clay just drop like 40 points in a quarter or 30 points in a quarter? I was like, what?
Yeah.
They're all good, and they continue to build. You can't do anything except just appreciate the greatness that they have right now. You can't, because
I love watching.
Obviously, I wish it was my team, but shit, if we're going to get beat by anybody, it might as well be them. Because nobody can beat them.
I think the Chiefs have become that team where you may not be a fan. Like, I would never say I'm a Chiefs fan, but
they're not bad.
I'd like to turn the Chiefs on and watch them play. Yep, sure do.
Yep.
I'm not going to jump
watch
on the
that
wagon,
Mahomes game.
But yeah,
that's a bad boy.
I love to watch the Chiefs play. They're so much fun.
Bad boy.
So we had an international game this weekend. Friday night, Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts. Not exactly a quarterback clinic going on there, in my opinion. That game was pretty messy. The international games are always a little wonky anyway. You're in one of the most dangerous places you could possibly be, in gang-infested Brazil. I don't understand why they had the game in a place where you can't wear green. It doesn't make sense to me. The Eagles, I came away from that going, Saquon Barkley is a bad mofo. Saquon Barkley is going to make the difference there. Kellen Moore better settle down trying to throw the ball too much with Jalen Hurts and realize you're a running team. You're an RPO team. And then the biggest concern out of that game, Jordan Love gets hurt with 6 seconds left. Second highest paid quarterback in all of the league. And he's out 3 to 6 weeks with a sprained knee. It's good because the initial thoughts was that he tore his knee completely. But 3 to 6 weeks, it's looking more like maybe 3 to 4. But the Packers off to a rough start. The only team in their division that didn't win a game. Didn't win an opening weekend. How about that?
Yeah, man. Another sloppy game. It was a fun game to watch, but that field was horrible. They should not play on that field. And if the NFL is a billion-dollar industry, if you're going to travel to these places where soccer is mainly played, to where those cleats are actually different than football cleats in the grass and terrain, but how about bringing your own grass? How about bringing your own grass? You're a billion-dollar company. Yeah. Roll your own grass in there. Grow your own grass in these stadiums and keep your players healthy. Because I also feel, watching Saquon slip and you're just thinking, oh no, please don't tear it. Like, I have him on fantasy and he went bananas, but I will tell you this right now, the Eagles are a problem. Defensively, they're okay. Their D-line is phenomenal. But other than that, you've got to be able to score points to beat them. And if Jalen Hurts can really hone in some of those things as far as limit the turnovers, I know it's a new center exchange going on. So, he's got some hurdles to climb, but putting up 37 points in your first game, and you guys as an offense have not played preseason, kudos to you. Yeah. You beat a team in the Green Bay Packers, which are projected to actually be a Super Bowl contender.
Well, that's out, I would say. After watching them play and your quarterback's out, you may not win a game because I couldn't even tell you who their starting quarterback is going to be.
Malik Willis.
Well, yeah, Malik Willis is the thought, but it's his time. He just came in a couple days ago. So,
well, hey, you better adjust.
I expect nothing from the Green Bay Packers for the next 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. They're going to have to go get a veteran or something. One of those guys.
Sure.
Well, that just broke the streak of Packer quarterbacks being Iron Men.
Right? Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that happen.
Rodgers had a couple of injuries, but he was always available.
Don't get it twisted. Jordan Love wasn't playing good before the injury. He had a 20 QBR during the game. He wasn't playing well before he got hurt. But you hate to see anybody get hurt, especially 6 seconds left in the game.
Yeah.
That's awful. Well, hey, we know what happened yesterday. We can't talk about the 49ers because they don't play yet. But the Cowboys won. See, I got my CeeDee Lamb victory jersey on. We got the big win against Cleveland Browns. Dominating defensive performance. Now, Cleveland didn't have their 2 starting tackles. So that kind of makes a difference, I think. But
makes a huge difference. I can know that.
That being said, Micah Parsons went dumb yesterday. DeMarcus Lawrence went dumb yesterday. I thought it was great. We got points off special teams. We got, our defense had 6 sacks, 2 interceptions. That was fantastic. Dak was good, not great. 19 for 32, 1 TD, 179
Didn't have to do too
yards.
much, man.
No interceptions, 85 QBR. So, our rating, quarterback rating, but a 31 QBR. He's actually about middle of the pack there. He made some really good throws, but he also missed a few, and he had 2 pick sixes that were dropped. He threw 2 balls right to the defense. Both were dropped, luckily for us. We were 4 for 14 on third down. That was a problem that plagued us a year ago, along with the red zone inefficiencies, because, again, we had to settle for field goals. Great to have Zeke Elliott back. I don't feel great about this win because I don't think Cleveland's a very good football team after watching them yesterday outside of Myles Garrett, who is absolutely unstoppable. What was your feedback? I'm still not excited about the Cowboys. How'd you feel?
Bravo. It's what you should do. It's what you all do. You do this every year. I'm not surprised.
You
defensively,
don't see me getting on the train.
No. But I'm just saying, defensively, you look good. You did your thing. hey, welcome back, Zeke. I like Zeke. I like some of these Cowboy players. He did what you had to do. But it just so happens you were playing against a quarterback that looked like a high school quarterback yesterday.
You look terrible.
I can't believe it because Deshaun Watson is one of my favorite quarterbacks prior to all the allegations. Yeah. Now, I was still rocking with him, but dude, when you get paid that kind of money, when you have those type of receivers, you can't look like that. Like something, I don't know if it was the shoulder injury because he actually had a good game versus the Ravens last year, right? I don't know if he can throw the ball the same. It doesn't look, something looks off. It's like he's babying all his throws. And I'm like, this doesn't look like the same guy, right? From Houston. Like, I don't know what happened with his psyche, but he needs a sports psychologist. He needs something because you don't look remotely the same. You don't even look like you belong. That's what it looked like. It looked like having a backup that's never played. My man, like, if you go back and look at the numbers, he had 45 pass attempts and only 169 yards. What?
9 points.
How is that possible?
He was terrible.
Possible. Now, granted, you're playing the Cowboys. It's a good defensive team, right? They're aggressive with a new defensive coordinator. But, man, you got to do something. You got to showcase a little bit of flash or sustain some drives. You just look like a deer in a headlight, man. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, I fell asleep on it.
You fell asleep during the game?
I fell asleep on that game.
Well, Deshaun Watson fell asleep during the game, too.
Yeah, he fell asleep, man.
You weren't alone. It was an ugly game for the Browns.
Yeah, it wasn't good, man.
You know,
didn't look good.
For the Cowboys to come out on. Based on yesterday, I guess the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl because we have the best defense in all of the NFL. So, I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there and let the Cowboy fans rejoice. Rookie debuts. We had some debuts this week.
Oh, yeah.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. You go first. Give me your thoughts on all three.
Well,
who do you think played the best?
Who do I think played the best was Jaden Daniels.
Agree.
I watched a little bit of that game, him and Baker going back and forth. But what I was impressed with, he got it done through the air. Not many air yards, right? But over 270 yard total offense, 88 yards rushing, 2 TDs, 71% completion with a 93% passer rating. I thought that was good. I thought that's a good sample size. Like what we're looking for. Did you win the game? No, you didn't. But it's good to know that you can actually drive the ball and sustain drives. One thing I am concerned about with him is he takes so many unnecessary hits.
Yeah.
Like the dude didn't fall, tried to run for the first down and got his helmet knocked clean off. Like if you're the franchise guy, if we're projecting you for the next however many years, I need you to know when to get down. Like if this is the playoffs and it's third down and you got to go make a play to save it, all right, man, let it all out. Right? But until then, it's week 1, brother. I've seen too many hits already. I'm like, dude, chill. Yeah. Like relax. He is super quick. When he pulled down that zone read, man, he was gone. Right? Yeah. I thought he did well. Bo Nix struggled. 2 turnovers at one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, a rookie head coach's debut. It's going to be a little bit. He's another one of those guys that had a lot of passing attempts and under 200 yards. Yeah, 42 and under that, right? And then Caleb Williams. I know we're going to harp on him and go nuts, but I don't think he really got into a rhythm. I'll give him that. Like he still the same questions we've had from the jump, with Caleb Williams. Yeah. Can he throw in rhythm? He doesn't throw in rhythm very well. Too many 3-and-outs. He missed some open throws. One to Keenan Allen on that out and up. He did hit Keenan Allen on the out. He's got to catch that. But outside of that, I'm not going to really put too much emphasis on, oh, my God, he played terrible. Hey, dude, you got to win. You got a great defense, but you have got to learn to throw in rhythm. And you got to sustain drives, and you got to find a rhythm. And so those are my 3 takes. What about you?
Yeah, so I'll start with Bo Nix, 26 for 42, 138 yards, 2 interceptions. The only rookie of the 3 to turn the ball over this weekend. There was points where he looked good, and then other points where he looked like a rookie. I feel like there's definitely some room for him to grow. But 42 pass attempts, Sean Payton, you need to look in the mirror and settle that down. He doesn't need to be throwing the ball as a rookie 40 times. Jaden Daniels, I agree. He had the best outcome, even though they didn't win. He was the most electric with his legs, obviously. We know he can run the ball. 17 for 24, 184, no touchdowns. No turnovers is huge. We don't expect him to throw the ball all over the field and all of that. So he did what we expect from him. He took care of the ball. They didn't win, but they ran up against a really good Tampa Bay team, and Baker Mayfield had an incredible day, one of the best days of the weekend. And so probably going to be hard anyway. There's a lot of people said they were going to be good, the Commanders. I don't think they're going to be a very good team yet. I think it's going to take some time. So I'm not expecting much, but I thought Jaden was the best. Caleb, 14 for 29, 93 yards. He did have the big drop by Keenan Allen in there. I'd say Caleb was getting a lot of pressure up the middle. The Titans do have a very underrated D-line. I think they have one of the better D-lines in the league. And so when you look at it from that standpoint and the pressure that he was trying to overcome in his first ever start, it wasn't a bad day. He didn't look erratic. He didn't throw the ball to the defense. He didn't make the big mistake that you're worried about in a close game like that. In fact, he kept his poise, and I saw him being a true leader during the comeback, even though it was the defense and special teams that led that comeback. I think the Bears are a really good football team. Again, it's a bus that Caleb just has to drive very cautiously, and I thought he did a good job yesterday. He hit some curbs, but I thought he did a good job. You are on.
This isn't.
There you go. What were you saying?
I said, am I on mute? I said that he had a 17-yard loss when he was trying to do too much.
Yeah, that one time.
This is the NFL, bub. You got to throw the ball away. These dudes are.
That's what I thought it was. It's not USC anymore. Calm down.
Yeah. Did you realize when you were watching these rookies how fast the game looked compared to the preseason? It was unbelievable how fast
defenses
it was.
are different.
I mean, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Throw the ball away. Like they were in panic mode, but the guy who slowed the game down was it Jaden Daniels. And we all kind of expected this. This guy was a one-man show at LSU. He did have two great receivers, but I think he's in his element. Part of it is because he's in a system that he understands.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that really helps him, right? That Brian Kelly, that Texas Tech, all that
they're giving everything they can to do space.
Yes. Which is good.
As they should.
Dude, just slide. My God.
Please.
You need to go to the DC Nationals, man, and go take some sliding lessons from the coach.
We talked about it. We talked about it coming into the season. That was the big concern with Jaden Daniels, is that we know you're going to run, and you're going to run a lot, but you took big hits in college, just like Anthony Richardson took a big hit last year.
Man, that dude's a freak.
So, yeah, he didn't have a great day yesterday, but he had two incredible throws.
I mean, he had 40 points in fantasy, right? But, my God, did you see that 60-yard, was it 65 in the air,
he's
off his back foot, and just he's dynamic, man.
He's
dynamic.
He's going to do something. Wow. So what games stood out to you this week? We had a lot of games. What games stood out to you?
I'm just going to pick one. And
okay.
I'm just going to pick one. I mean, we've had some good games. I mean, some things it was just overall to me a sloppy day, but one game that was unacceptable was the Bengals and the Patriots. You've got a rookie head coach going in his first time on the road with a veteran quarterback who's just going to drive the bus, right? Not going to do anything spectacular. You have Jamar Chase on the field. You have Joe Burrow on the field. T. Higgins is unfortunately injured, but you have a lot of guys. And you take an L in your home field, man, to a team that's supposed to be projected the worst team in the league.
Right.
And you lost. And you only put up 10 points. And here's the thing. As much as we preach Burrow, you got to show me, dog. You got to show me. Show me that you are just as good as Pat Mahomes. Like, just as good. Galvanize your guys. Yes, I understand Chase is going through a contract situation. He still had what, 5-6 catches? That's okay. All right, but we got to find a way to score. It felt like you guys just really weren't playing. You guys were like checked out. And I really feel like preseason football is crippling the first week, at least the first quarter of the season, because if you get off to a bad start, it's going to be hard to climb out of that.
Yeah.
It just is. It doesn't matter how good you are. Now the Patriots, you gave these guys confidence to where we just beat the Bengals at their field. with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Come on.
Yeah. It didn't look good. Neither
It
team
didn't look
looked
good, man. You can't lay an egg to that, man. If I'm looking, you were scoreless in the first half. You had over 200 yards of total offense, and you're projected to be one of the best? Nah.
There was no excuse for coming.
Still the damn Bengals.
Like
Still the damn Bengals. Like,
you can't say
that culture ain't changed. No.
The last time we saw the Bengals, just 2 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl.
No. See, that's 2 years ago. 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Right. They're chasing more. They're chasing money instead of W's right now at this point.
Yeah.
They're chasing money.
And
Joe, it's up to you, man, to fix this, because if you can't fix it, brother, you've only been on the field 50% of the time in your career in the NFL.
Yeah.
As much as I love watching you play, I need that dog to come out. You can't let this team just run over you. And basically, they ran over you the entire time.
It was bad. Joe Burrow.
It looked bad.
Joe Burrow was not a good quarterback yesterday. And
I mean, he was 21 to 29. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but it was not Joe Burrow-ish. It was, yeah. I mean, his QBR was up there. I mean, he was 14th yesterday, which is higher than the highest paid quarterback in the league, but not great. He didn't have a great day. I was very disappointed. Happy for Gerard Mayo to get his first win as a head coach.
Yeah. I mean, they're 4 of 11 on third down. Can't do that.
I took it a different way. Games that stood out to me were there was a couple really exciting games. A lot of the games were kind of boring. Like I had 4 screen on. I tried to keep up with everything that was going on. The Bills-Cardinals game was unbelievable.
That was a fire game.
Back and forth until Josh Allen took over in the fourth quarter. Both quarterbacks played extremely well. It was great to see Kyler Murray dealing out there a little bit. Really enjoyed that game. Bears-Titans. It's the first time that a number 1 draft pick quarterback has won his first opening start. It's only the 4th time in the modern era. John Elway, Jim Plunkett, and David Carr were the other 3. So pretty good company there, particularly with Elway and Plunkett, not so much with David Carr. We understand it was the special teams and defense, but man, as a Bears fan and someone that grew up in Chicago, to see them down 17-0 and see them crawl and make, do the little things and come back and win that game was very exciting. Caleb did complete a 2-point conversion play, which was one of his nicer throws.
That was a pretty pass. Good read.
Yeah, it was very
great read, Caleb.
I saw Caleb make about 4 throws in rhythm yesterday. Everything else was
like, hey, I got to dance around. I was like, when you got a route runner like Keenan Allen, brother, you got to take advantage of those breaks.
Yeah.
He's going to get it, and he's going to play DB for you if you mess up.
The Houston versus Colts game, I really enjoyed watching that.
That's fun.
Anthony Richardson is exciting as a young player.
Freaking cyborg.
Yeah, he is. CJ proven that his rookie year wasn't a fluke. It was back and forth, and both teams had a chance to win that game. Very exciting. And then last night's game, at halftime I was thinking we were going to go to bed about mid-third quarter. We were kind of bored. In the second half of that game, there were some fireworks. Both quarterbacks played well. Both of them had an 85 rating. Just Goff and Stafford going back and forth at the end of the game, right? Trying to will their teams to victories. Stafford made some throws that were unbelievable last night. Really fun and love watching the Lions get that big W. So a lot of fun to watch that game. It's just overtime and Stafford never got the ball. So what are you going to do?
They're big bullies, man. Lions are bullies. I love it.
Bullies. Hey,
they're bullies.
How about Aiden Hutchinson last night? I know this is a quarterback show, but how about Aiden Hutchinson as a quarterback?
He's a dog.
I don't want to see him coming for me.
He's a dog. He's a dog.
Well, let's get into something that we all really enjoy as we go through this, and that's your quarterbacks on fire. I've got 3 of them, but I'm going to let you go first. See who do we have that might be the same? Who do you got?
Man, best performance of this week's got to go to old Shake and Bake.
Shake and Bake.
Baker Mayfield, man. One of my favorite quarterbacks from the OU. I love his story. I love how he's turned it around. I feel like his team really believes in him. Mm-hmm. He showed great poise and efficiency in the home opener after getting that $100 million contract, which it didn't deplete his team. It's about to make it even better. So smart move. He's earned it. Seems like they have a really good relationship. Him and the head coach, wasn't he a former offensive coordinator for the Rams? So he's been in that system for about, 3 to 4 years, even since Cleveland.
settled
So
in
he
now.
really understands it. And it makes the Browns look absolutely like fools for letting him go. Right? That dude, one thing about Baker Mayfield, I'd ride with him any day, man. He's a guy I want in the alley, in the trenches.
Right.
I mean, you know he's going to fight for you. He's going to lay it all out on the line. He had great escapes, had great poise, great leadership. Baker deserves it, man. 4 TDs. I mean, he just lit it up. The other one I have is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I feel like Josh Allen really just took over a game. He's one of the few QBs that can really do that. What he did, I mean, just leaping over a guy, it looked like some prime Cam Newton stuff. I was like, whoa, incredible for his size. Now, you may not like that comparison. I don't give a damn, Tim. They play damn near identical.
If you're going to compare him to the running Cam Newton, I'm fine with that. We also know he can throw the ball just as good as anybody. So,
but for the Cam Newton shoulder injury, it was on. But Josh Allen did a great job getting that tough win. Also had C.J. Stroud. He may not have popped off the board from just a yardage standing, but 75% completion in hostile territory against a really good Indianapolis Colts team. And the last one was Derek Carr.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you got to put Derek in
3
there.
TDs and a blowout.
Yeah, you got to put Derek in there, boy.
Derek said, I am not losing to the Panthers, because if he'd have lost, he is the only quarterback in the NFL history that has lost to all 32 teams.
Oh boy.
Damn.
Well, I'm not going to bore everybody, but I've got the same. Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield were my top 2. Derek Carr, 19 of 23, 200 yards, 3 touches. None of these quarterbacks threw an interception, although Josh had a fumble early in his game, but he also had 2 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
So you got to love that you're not throwing the ball to the other team. I love that. Honorable mention, I've got Justin Fields. He found out Sunday morning he was going to be the starter, playing in Atlanta, which is really where he wanted to end up. And they end up getting the big win there. I had C.J. Stroud as an honorable mention as well. And then Anthony Richardson, he's kind of replaying his rookie year. In his first game, goes 9 for 19, 212, 2 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception, but he also had a rushing TD. And the 1 touchdown that he threw was incredible. Maybe the best throw.
Man, I haven't seen an arm like that live in an NFL game. I've never seen a throw like that.
No. It was.
Josh Allen had one in the playoff game where Stephon Diggs dropped it, and that looked like it was an 80-yard bomb.
But to drop back, for your back foot to slip, almost fall down, get back up, have your center being pushed back into your face, lean back and uncork one basically with your wrist that goes 90, 80 yards.
65 yards in the air. Now, I will say he's probably
beautiful. He
might be in the lane as the most talented, freakish athletic quarterback we've ever seen. I mean, he's 6'4", he's 250, he runs a 4.4, he throws the ball probably 90 yards. Right? No exaggeration. No exaggeration.
Can he put it all together?
Can he put it all together? And I think the running game, I think that offense, I think he can. Because he's in that same offense that Jalen Hurts thrived in. And I think, just get down, man. Just get down. Just protect yourself, because everybody enjoys watching you. You look like a phenomenal player. You're going to be here for years to come. All the kids are going to love you. I mean, just keep making it happen, dude. Because he's really exciting to watch, bro. He only completed 9 passes, but they were some crazy 9. 9 passes was like, oh my God.
He's like a wild stallion that can do incredible things. And I think he'll progress. As long as he stays healthy, and continues to protect himself, I think he'll be
sure.
I like him.
Reminds you of the rookie Josh Allen a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, he does. You're
like, whoa,
Josh. He does.
Josh a freak, man.
We talked about the good, right? And we know there was a lot of them. There were some average guys out there. Your Kyler Murray, your Jacoby Brissett got a win. Sam Darnold was pretty decent yesterday. Geno Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson all did pretty well.
Stafford, Goff.
But let's back in the garbage juice, because there's always going to be some garbage juice.
Back up, brother. It's a lot of shitbird happening.
There's one quarterback that's been in the garbage juice bucket more than any other quarterback since he's been in the league. There's one quarterback that I consider now the landlord of garbage juice, and that's Bryce Young. So Bryce,
Lord,
You own the garbage juice bucket, but then people pay you rent, Bryce. People pay you rent. And right now, the person that might be trying to buy the garbage juice bucket might be Deshaun Watson because he's all the way in the bucket.
Yeah, he's in there.
Minshew made an appearance. Joe Burrow is hanging out with his buddies in the garbage juice. Kirk Cousins is certainly in the garbage juice. Will Levis, your quarterback out of Tennessee, gave the game away yesterday, so he's got to be there. And Daniel Jones looks like he doesn't need to play football ever again. Like, just give the jersey back, give the money back to Daniel, and leave New York. People were actually outside the stadium asking him for money, asking him for $1 million. Can I just get $1 million?
Let me have a quarter.
You suck, Daniel Jones. You know what? You suck, Daniel Jones. You're freaking terrible. That's my garbage juice, bro. All that I can't even go into their stats because they were too bad to even discuss.
Yes, it is absolutely dog water. I mean, of course, you got Daniel Jones, who lives in the garbage bucket. You got Kirk Cousins. That wasn't a good showing, especially with the offense that you're very accustomed to. You have you have some great weapons around you. Only 155 yards, two interceptions.
Can't beat Kirko Chains and playing like that.
Yeah, that's not the Kirko Chains we know. I know he'll bounce back, though. I'm not worried about him. The people I'm really concerned about is, number one, Bryce Young. Man, you were already small to begin with.
Tiny.
Right? He's a tiny guy.
Tiny.
But when you're that small, you have to be dynamic. You have to be dynamic in a sense. And he showed it a little bit on the zone read on his one touchdown run where he wiggled the guy. He shook the guy a few times. And I was like, okay, that's what I need to see a little bit more. I feel he needs to go back to the offense that made him great, that Alabama-style offense, that RPO, that get the ball out of your hands, make quick, decisive decisions. He has the weapons to do it. I feel like they need to cater a lot of these guys, especially coming out from college programs. They need to cater to their skill set and what they do best. Him being under center, he can't see. His first play of the game was a pick. First play of the game. He did not see that Robert just sitting in the middle of the field. No. I was like, hey, man, he's sitting down. Go the other way. Right? So we're getting to a place with him where this might be it. This season might be it for him. The NFL is not for long, but I don't see how he can sustain success unless he switches to the offense that he came from with the Alabama Sarkisian style offense. Another one of mine is Will Levis. Will Levis is I'm a Titan fan as well. Love the Titans and the Niners. Grew up watching both of them. We will forever be cursed from getting rid of Steve McNair and trading him to Baltimore. Will forever be cursed. I feel Will Levis shows great poise and leadership, but he also shows the tendency where he's just playing backyard and wild ball. And that pick was god awful. It looked like some Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. But thank you, Will Levis, for doing the stupid crap because it gave my team fantasy, the Bears, 37 points. I appreciate that. Thank you. But I would have loved to see a win. You know, a 17-point deficit, man, and you blow it. You've got to have more control. I'm not going to be too hard on this one. Bo Nix game just seemed a little fast. It's different. He played in a hostile environment, right? He played in a hostile environment, but 42 attempts and only 138 yards is definitely noteworthy.
You're mean.
And my last one, man. I mean, you already said Daniel Jones, but my last one, it really bothers me because he's one of my favorite. He used to be one of my favorite quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson. Yeah. He does not look the same. He looked like a high school quarterback. I'm just going to be honest.
Maybe he looked like a high school quarterback.
He needs something. He needs something. He needs something. I'm not going to say it online, but he needs something.
I'm going to say it. He needs a massage.
He needs something because what he's doing.
Please line up outside the stadium. Give this man a massage.
He rocked Cleveland. Now, I will say this. They signed the player they thought they were getting into Texans. And all those allegations probably mess with his psyche. He needs a sports psychologist. He needs to figure this out. He needs to get back to the root of what made him great. And what made him great was the ability to be like Houdini in the pocket and have the ability to make the right throws. He was a guy that never really turned the ball over. He took care of it. He sustained drives very well in Houston. but we're 4 years removed from that. We have to take the next step with him. And if we can't take the next step with him, then we need to go to Jameis Winston and eat it. You have to. Because one thing I've noticed about Jameis is not afraid. Jameis is a leader. Jameis is going to die on his shield. And I don't think Deshaun is built like that right now. I think Deshaun is more infatuated with getting the guaranteed money. I also think his confidence has been hindered because of what happened transferring over. And you're human. I get it. But you've got to find a way to figure it out. Because right now, it looks like the worst contract in NFL history. We went back and
changed the quarterback market completely.
Yeah, it changed it completely, unrealistically.
Yeah, and he hasn't done anything since he's been
there.
So
it's pretty bad, man. I feel bad, but it's absolutely awful. And he needs to get better.
Not a bad option, though. I bet the Packers
he's not.
I bet the Packers wish Jameis Winston was on their roster right now.
Oh, that'd be good for him.
Right?
I feel Jameis is a smart player, man. He gets along with everybody.
I bet the Panthers wish Jameis Winston was on their roster right now. I mean, there's plenty of teams that would take a Jameis Winston right now. So not a bad. I mean, and then
the New York Giants.
Yeah, right. Giants take anybody. Giants take anybody. Hey, if you are a quarterback, if you're a fake quarterback, if you play quarterback on Madden, I urge you to call the Giants and go try out. Right now, I would think they would look at anybody. Hey, man, you got a big night coming up. And we're going to do something special this year.
Ooh.
We're going to record a brief show every Tuesday about the Monday night game the night before and preview the upcoming week a little bit. But for right now, Brandon Newey, your 49ers play the Jets tonight. Break down the matchup for us.
Let's battle. I'm so excited for this matchup. I'm nervous, though. I wouldn't be lying to you if I'm nervous. They got a great defensive line, the Jets. And if you all had opportunity to watch the YouTube series on the Jets, and they do this with everybody, right? Do this with every team, their media. They're pissed off, hungry, and desperate is what it looks like. And they're going into hostile territory. Aaron Rodgers doesn't necessarily perform well against the 49ers. However, his last meeting, he had an opportunity to beat them, made it look easy. But now you're going against a young gun, and who's our future now is Brock Purdy. I love to see this matchup. However, I do feel there's a lot of distraction leading into this game. And I tell you why. Number one, the two contracts that we had. Number two, losing Ricky, getting shot, a lot of, mixed feelings about it. Could it bring the team closer? I hope it does. I just think there's a lot of off the field stuff going into this game. Brock Purdy didn't necessarily look well in the preseason. Kyle threw out the second team offensive line and expected him to perform well. And with guys he's throwing to that aren't even on the team anymore. I thought that was negligence on him. Kyle needs to really show us that he can get over the hump. I don't have too much stock into this game, although we're projected to win. But I also could see an upset because it's just too much distraction into our first game. And these guys are coming off of an Aaron Rodgers injury in his Monday night game showing, he's emotional. The guy who, Floyd, our new defensive end, is the guy who actually tore his Achilles.
Oh, boy.
So does that play a psyche into this role? However, the guy that they signed, Hassan Reddick, he is not playing in the game, and he was the guy that messed up Brock Purdy's elbow. Kind of weird, right? Weird story dynamic. However, I think Jets could spoil it for us. I'm not sure. I won't be shocked coming back on here. But I definitely need us to get a W, because if we get a W, this really sets the tone. And if we lose, that puts the Seahawks in contention for the number 1 seed for our division. So I think it's very important that we go out and guns a-blazing. IU gets in a really good groove. Trent Williams gets in a good groove. Those two guys have not taken any live reps game-wise since last year's Super Bowl. So I'm a little concerned about that. McCaffrey's calf and his Achilles, is that's attached. Do you really want to play him? They're going to play him, but I feel like you should sit him out the first quarter of the year. What for? Yeah. Give Jordan Mason and these other guys, let those Bulls run. We got a great zone run scheme. to where I feel like we can literally pick and choose and insert into our run game. In the Shanahan era, it's been done.
True.
Right? So it's not necessarily that. I'm expecting a big night for Debo. Huge night because he's been in there.
Right.
You know, Ayuk may have a pitch count. Trent Williams may have a pitch count. We got a new right guard who's a monster. So this is his first experience. And so we'll see what happens, man. I don't have high expectations. I mean, we just got to get a W and find a way.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great quarterback matchup.
Yep.
You get Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy. You know, let's go back just a little bit. Last year when Rodgers signed to the Jets and he got hurt in that first game, I said I likened him to a new Christmas toy that you get and you open the box and you're really excited. You know, you've been asking your parents for this all summer long. You get the new toy, you open it up and it's broken. And you don't get to play with it. Well, now you've taken that toy and you've sent it back to the manufacturer and you told them the toy didn't work. It came in a box. It was broken. Send me a new one. By the time you got the toy back, it was June, July. Christmas is long over with. The toy works, but guess what? There's new toys now. So how excited are we to see Aaron Rodgers play for the Jets? I think we're still excited to play with the new toy. Me personally, I'm not nearly as excited as I was this time last year. To watch him play for the Jets because it's the newness is kind of worn off. Purdy did have a really rough preseason, so we'll see if he's back.
Didn't look good. Yeah.
Is Aaron Rodgers going to be any good at 40 years old, coming off an Achilles? 49ers are loaded. Jets defense is loaded. I'm looking forward to a really fun.
It's going to be a hell of a matchup,
really
man.
fun Monday night game.
And you know what's crazy? Good. Before you do that, you know what's crazy? You know who Ayuk steps up against across from? Sauce Gardner. That's your first
right there.
That's your first one. Hey, $30 million man. Ayuk, I hope you listen, brother. You better work. You better work.
That's gonna be a
better work.
You got any QB matchups you're looking for next week that you want to kind of let the folks know? Hey, tune into this one. This one's gonna be a good one.
I think these two matchups are going to be absolutely something to watch if you're a quarterback fan. Number one, Josh Allen versus Tua. That's gonna be a good one. Hey, have you seen their games?
Yeah.
Their games go down to the wire, man. They put up numbers. If you go back to the last three matchups, it's been incredible.
Where's that game at? Is it
in Miami?
Oh boy, that's a high
Miami. Guess what?
For Miami to get a win.
Yep. And guess what on this one? Burrow goes to Arrowhead.
Yes, sir. I'm looking at that one.
Yep.
I'm looking at that one because Burrow's the only one to have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs in Arrowhead. He's the only one. But
they still focused on money, man.
It doesn't look good.
My next one is...
Oh, go ahead. I thought you have more. Go ahead. Continue.
I got one more. Caleb versus CJ.
Yeah, I've got that one too.
I'm looking forward to that matchup, but go ahead, brother.
OSU versus USC in that one, two highly talked about quarterbacks. How about the Bucks Lions next week? Baker versus Goff, two NFC playoff teams playing each other.
Yeah,
again.
They had a good matchup last time too.
Lions beat the Buccaneers last year in that divisional game. Rams Cardinals, I think, is going to be a good one because Kyler Murray is certainly back, and Matthew Stafford showed that he is still that guy. So looking forward to that matchup. You talked about Bengals and Chiefs, so and we kind of talked about Bears Texans. So those are the good matchups next week to look out for, in our opinions. That's going to do it for this week's edition, week one of our takes after
Let's go,
the games
baby.
on Sunday of this week's QB Huddle. We'd like you to comment, share, and like if you do, but we want to know who your quarterbacks were this week. Who was in your garbage juice? Who was on fire for you? Who's your favorite guy out there? Did Dak get the money he deserved? Let us know.
Yes.
Thank you to New Era Media for producing our show. Thank you to Sean Twix Edwards and Mark Watson for all of you do on the back end and social media. For my partner, Brandon Newey, I'm Tim Smith. Until next time, keep those chains moving.
Peace.